Welcome to your first day of class. I'm Marketing Communications Manager Daniel Sloan, and on behalf of Trident, I want to say thank you for taking the next step in your educational journey with us. New students often have a lot of questions, and we are here to help. As a way to ease you into our unique student-centered model, we've designed this webinar that will cover all the areas vital to success in your chosen program. This is a recording of a webinar that's presented live on the first day of each Fast Track session at 11 a.m. Pacific. We understand that our students lead busy lives and are spread out across the globe, so this format is a way for us to reach as many new students as possible. We're joined by two presenters today who both are behind the scenes right now and can answer any questions as they come up. First, I'd like to introduce Dr. George Delhiero. He joined Trident in 2010 and currently serves as a full-time instructor and course coordinator in University College. During his time at Trident, he has worked closely with students in a variety of roles, including academic advising, financial aid, and academic probation support services. Dr. Delhiero earned a PhD in educational leadership from Trident and has received numerous awards during his time at the university, including honors for communication and collaboration, and for student motivation. He is a passionate advocate for student success. Next, we have Michael Minnaugh, who's been with Trident since 2017. Currently serves as a project manager in the Center for Student Success, overseeing the online orientation course, and he teaches Tux 101. He has over a decade of professional experience in education, holding roles such as elementary school teacher, admissions advisor, academic counselor, and finance manager. As an advocate for a positive student experience throughout the entire path to graduation, Michael enjoys working closely with students and helping them to achieve personal and professional goals. Michael earned a Master of Business Administration entirely online, and he holds a bachelor's and master's degree in English as well. As an online student who's balancing family, children, full-time work, and more, Michael understands that being an adult student requires an ability to be flexible and manage your time well. Just a few notes before we begin today's session. Although the beginning part of this webinar has been pre-recorded, Dr. Delhiero, Michael, an admissions advisor, and myself are all behind the scenes right now, and we can answer any questions you have as they come up. Just find the control panel on the right-hand side of your screen, go about halfway down, and find the questions box. You can submit your questions there, and we'll get to them as soon as we can. After the career networking portion of the presentation, we will shift to the live format where we'll have the Q&A, and also our admissions advisor will be sharing a student success story with everyone. Now, I'm going to hand things off to Michael, who will begin the presentation. The floor is yours, Michael.
All right. So first off, I want to say a big welcome to everybody to Trident. We are very excited to have you here, and we're excited that you're here on this first day of class webinar. You're already going to get some of that special sauce to help you move forward and be successful here at Trident. So what we're going to talk about today, a couple tips for success. That'll be my presentation. We'll move into academic writing with Dr. Delhiero, and then Danny will get back into career networking after we're done, and then we'll get to questions. So let's move on to the next topic and to some tips for success here as an online student. So briefly, we're going to touch on all of these things here. These are very generic aspects of a successful online student, really any student at all. So we will touch on that a little bit more detail, but you want to be confident, ask questions, especially some of those new students that have never been to online school before. We want to make sure that you're comfortable and you know where to find things. So we don't know there's an issue unless you ask. So please let us know. There are lots of resources here that we'll talk about that are available to you if you do have questions. Know that you're supported. That goes hand in hand with what I just mentioned. We have lots of resources and people here to help you out when you get stuck on something. Get to know your professors and your peers. They are a great resource when you're in the classroom and you have questions about your specific subject in your class. They can be a great resource to you. Time management, that is a big one as an online student. That is something that you need to really start thinking about and planning. Today is a great day to do that. The fact that you're here alone tells me that you are taking this seriously, and that is something that you want to take seriously, is time management. We'll talk about your long-term academic planning, and then just with everything in life, you got to have fun. I know that Danny had mentioned it's a little bit of a different time that we're in. There's still a lot of joy in the world. We got to make sure we're having fun with everything we're doing. So let's talk a little bit more in detail about some of these aspects here on the next slide. So the first thing that I want to talk about that's very near and dear to me is time management. As Danny mentioned in my introduction, I am an online student. I actually just finished a program, so I guess not technically anymore, but I'm looking to continue on with my education. I'm also a father of 2 children. I work, as had been mentioned. I know that many of you out there are here in the online world because you all wear different hats and you all have different responsibilities that you have. Online schooling is a great option for those that can be flexible, and you can fit that time in your schooling into those moments in your day that you can fill them, and you can get a lot from that. But that time management plan is something that you need to be successful. So a couple of things that we want to talk about. Everybody's time management plan is going to be a little bit different. So create one that is going to work for you. When I was a student, what I found most helpful was setting aside specific times of the day, a couple of days a week, that I would go to school. I would treat it just like I was, going to class at a brick and mortar institution. So Tuesdays and Wednesdays in the evenings, and then Saturday mornings were my class time. So my family they knew that was something that it was important to me, and I was able to go into the office and I was able to do the work that I need to do for my class. So whether that is something that you need to do, or some students will log in every single day just so they're in the flow of getting into the classroom, and then they get more comfortable, especially those new students that have not attended online classes before. You can poke around, you can get used to that flow of being in there every day, and then you're going to find that rhythm that is going to work for you. But I definitely would consider setting aside specific times and days that is going to work for you. Now, with the online school, we know that holidays, weekends, even with brick and mortar school, there are holidays, birthdays, things that come up in the middle of classes. So it's great that this offers you that flexibility, that you can still attend those things, you can still have a weekend, you can still have family time, but you can plan around that. So you know what is going to happen in your life in terms of schedule for the most part, if it's a birthday or a holiday that you're going to go on vacation for. So you can schedule time around that. You can do a little bit of more work ahead of time, or you can do a little bit of work after when you're done. So it's a great way that you can fit this stuff in to your life and still get your degree. Some people thrive on list making. That is my wife. So she is someone who wakes up every day and she writes down a list of 15 things she wants to accomplish in the day. She gets a lot of joy out of crossing those off. So maybe that's you. Whatever that time management plan is, it is definitely something that is the key to success as an online student. What I tell all of my students is that the beauty of online school is that you can go to classes whenever you want, but you can also not go to classes whenever you want. So when you develop that plan, you're able to hold yourself accountable to be there when you need to be there. Built into that plan needs to be some support and some flexibility too, because we all know that something is going to happen. Plans don't work out every single time. So if that happens, don't get discouraged. You need to let your professors, your advisor, your advising staff know, so we can talk about some options on how to, maybe work around that plan and be flexible. So let's talk on the next slide about some of those other resources that are here to help whenever that plan does not work. So many of you have already met your admissions advisor. That is the person that is your point person from the onboarding process. Many of you may have also met your finance advisor. That is the person that's going to help you with anything financially related, how are classes paid for, etc. If you have not met them yet, the third piece of the puzzle is your success advisor. That's kind of your academic team that you have available to you. Your success advisor is your academic advisor. They're with you through the first day of class today until graduation. So any sort of questions that you have about classes, when you're going to graduate, any of that stuff, that is geared toward them. They're going to keep you on track for your program. So like I said, if you have questions about what classes, how many classes, anything like that, what transferred in, if you're transferring in credits, that's going to be questions that your success advisor will be happy to help you with. And finally, cannot forget professors. I've been hearing so many things from a lot of my students about the amazing, amazing professors that we have here at Trident in terms of the support that they offer. They go above and beyond to help their students. So if there is an issue that you're having, maybe you're falling behind because that time management plan isn't working. Maybe you have to take care of your kids because they have school too and they're at home learning. You know, you want to communicate those issues that you're having with your advisors and your professors. We want to make sure that we help you if you are having challenges, but we can't help any problems that we don't know. So please, if you are having issues, reach out to somebody, your academic advisor, your admissions advisor, your professor. We want to make sure that you know that you are supported here at Trident, and we are happy to help you get through that. Besides the the personable people that we have here, there's also online resources that are available to you. So a couple of things that we'll mention briefly. The writing workshop and the writing style guide. After I'm giving my presentation here, Dr. Delhiero will speak a little bit more in depth about academic writing and the importance of that as you go throughout your academic progression as a student. Along with that, there are math assistance. So Math 95 and Statistics 95 are some kind of bridge classes that you can take if you want to polish up your skills. I got my undergrad degree in English, so those would be two classes that I would definitely be going into if I need to brush up a little bit of math skills. Along with that, there is a website that we do have available that we've just developed that does offer support on a wide range that Daniel is going to share with you in the chat if you'd like to check out. That is also another online resource that is available to you that offers resources ranging from some of these support systems to how do you reset your password. So any sort of technical issues is a great resource that we've just recently developed. If you're not able to reach anybody, maybe it's 2 in the morning and you're trying to get some help, that is a great resource that is available to you as well. Let's talk a little bit further about some additional inside the class resources that some students have available to them, depending on the course that they're in on the next slide. So in specific courses, there are additional support that you have access to through tutor.com. The courses that are listed here are English 101, Math 101, 102, BHS 220, Operations Management 300, Finance 301, Tux 101 and 301. A lot of these courses we found that students struggle in, so we want to give a little bit of additional help inside of these classes, just to bridge any gaps that you may have between the content in the course and maybe something's not clicking. So this is 24-hour a day tutoring help for these specific classes. You'd access this inside of those specific courses. So if you're scheduled for an English 101 class in the future or Math 201, you can log into that more section in the class, and you'll see that link for free tutoring. That only appears in these specific courses, but it's a great resource if you do need some additional help. So let's move to the next slide. We'll talk about something that's very near and dear to my heart. That is the orientation. So as Daniel had mentioned, I am the orientation facilitator. So you may have seen my face or my name commenting back to some of your posts. If you have been in there, checking out the course and seeing what a mock classroom is like. If you have not, I highly recommend it. I know that today's your first day of class, but you have access to the orientation for 6 months. It is a great resource to help essentially build confidence. It's a mock class. You can't do anything wrong, so you can click and you can submit things, and you're going to build that confidence to be able to navigate the classroom. Finding where resources are is half of the battle as an online student. So if you have that already under control, then you're stuck with the content, that's the part that's the fun part, the engaging part. So we don't want you to be thinking, where do I go to find my grades, or where do I go to access how to email my professor? You can find all that information inside of the orientation. We found that students that do participate in the orientation are far more successful than those that do not. So if you have not yet, I definitely recommend it. I look forward to seeing your threads in there and replying back and getting to know you a little bit more. But yes, you'll have access to that for 6 months as a student. So let's move on to the next slide here, and we'll talk about what to do now. So we've mentioned a few things in terms of successful tips, ways to be successful as an online student. So what do we do now? We want to take that first step and log into your class. As I mentioned before, I know that you may be having some technical issues. Hopefully that is resolved at this point, but if you have not logged in yet, I highly recommend after this webinar is over to log into that first class and introduce yourself. You don't need to wait. You can go in and be that first person that starts the initial thread to introduce yourself in the classroom. So I highly recommend that you do that today. Inside that classroom, you'll see a class list under your communications tab. You can email your professor. You can introduce yourself and tell them a little bit about yourself in a one-on-one format. Send them a direct message. See if there's any sort of, maybe you have something coming up that you need to troubleshoot in terms of time management. That's a great way to do that, especially on the first day of class. It shows that proactivity. If you do have questions, we want you to ask them. As we mentioned, there's lots of people here that want to see you succeed, so please let us know what we can do. We can't solve problems if we don't know that they exist. So let us know if you are having any sort of issues. As we mentioned before, develop that time management plan. That's going to be individualized to you, but you definitely want to make sure that you are working in a way that is working for you. Make sure it's flexible, but still allows you to maintain that work-life balance. That's definitely what we're all about. And then finally, check in with your advisors as you need to. So you may be hearing from your success advisor or your finance advisor throughout your time frame here, just to make sure that things are okay. Don't be alarmed. We just want to know that you're all right and get to know you a little bit more. As Danny mentioned, I am also a success advisor, so I may be talking to some of you sometime here, which would be very exciting. So finally, let's wrap all this up and talk about what we're going to do now. So we're going to review the course. So log into the class, get to know the calendar, get to know the format, get to know where to go if you need help. Create that time management plan. That is definitely a key. I cannot stress that enough. Make sure that you're completing all your assignments, including those threaded discussions. So the discussions are a large part of the online world. So you need to make sure that you're participating in those discussions, putting your initial thread in, and then also replying back to classmates as well to make sure it's an engaged discussion. As I mentioned, get to know your advisors, your support staff, your professors. We all want to make sure that you know that we're here to help you. So we want to know you. Introduce yourself. Don't be afraid to be that first person to say hello. As we mentioned, participate in your Module 1 threaded discussion. I would suggest doing that by Wednesday. So that's 2 days from now. I'm giving everybody on this webinar a piece of homework. Make sure you go in and you do your discussion by Wednesday. You can be that first person that starts the thread and really get that classroom going and get that energy going inside that class. That is definitely something that you want to do. And then finally, be proactive. If you do know that something is going to happen or something in terms of the future, you have a birthday or a holiday or something like that, there's an issue coming up, let us know what we can do. Be proactive. Reach out and let your advisors, your professors know that you are having some issues, and we can figure out what we can do to help overcome those issues. That's what we're here for. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to Dr. Delhiero. He's going to talk a little bit more about some of those tips we talked about with academic writing. So Dr. Delhiero, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you, Michael. Great information as always. One of the best that we have here at Trident. So thank you, Michael. On behalf of the faculty, I just want to extend my warmest welcomes to all of you. It's always the most exciting time of the month for us to welcome in a brand new crop of leaders into the Trident family. And so we all look forward to interacting with you, getting to know you, and seeing what great things you accomplish in and out of the classroom. So this section focuses on academic writing. It's one of the points of concern for some students, especially who have been out for a while. It causes some anxiety, and so the goal of these next couple slides are just to relieve some of that anxiety and give you some direction to build momentum. So Michael mentioned it, but these first couple days, it's going to be really imperative for you to get the wheels going. And so I hope to provide a broad overview of what your faculty will expect of you with writing, and to relieve some of that anxiety for you. This first slide is it's meant to frame your mindset for what the expectations are within academic writing, and why and how is it different from what you might be used to within your military experience or business experience. So the three key differences that I want you to think about between business and / military and academic writing are the goals of writing, the process of writing, and voice. And so when you're in the military, so the first one is the goals of writing. If you're going to graduate from an accredited institution, you're expected to have a high degree of written and oral communication skills. And so that is kind of what we're helping prepare you for upon graduation. So the first point that I want you to think about is the goal of writing. So when you're in a business environment and when you're in a military environment, your goal of writing, the only purpose you're writing is for mission accomplishment and to accomplish objectives. The difference within what you're going to find in an academic environment is that the goal of writing is to help you become a better communicator. And so there are some steps and some areas that we look for as your faculty to help you become a better thinker and to help you become a better writer, a more effective writer. So for example, within the military and in business, you're writing to accomplish this objective as quickly and efficiently as possible. And when you're in your academic classes, we're looking for your logic and rational thought development of your ideas. So sometimes this comes out when you're answering questions as maybe a 1 to 2 sentence or a 1 to 3 sentence reply to answer a question, because you're in that mindset of answering the question and giving the conclusion as quickly and efficiently as possible. But that's not the only thing. That's actually not the most important thing that your faculty is looking for. It's not really what we're looking for. We're looking for the reasons why and how you came to those conclusions, your critical thinking skills, and your logic and your rational thought development. And so that takes more time and it takes more effort to lay out those arguments and to do the research from different sources and integrate the background readings into your experience to support your conclusion. So your faculty member is not just looking for the answer. We're not just looking for the conclusion. We're looking for your reasons why, the thinking and the evidence behind it, and your logic and your rational thought development. The second area of that's a challenge or the difference between military and business writing versus academic writing is the process of writing. So when you're in a business environment or you're in a military environment, your superior would give you a command or an objective to write up a memo or write this up or write that up, do a report. You pass it off to your superior edits it, adds a couple things, passes it off to their superior, and before a decision is made, there's 2 or 3 hands that have touched this document. That's different than what you're going to find here and what your experience will be in an academic environment, because you are the single author of this document, of this assignment. So you have to go through the brainstorming. You have to go through the outlining and the editing and the drafting and the formatting, and all those things take time. And so you have to consider those elements when you develop your time management plan for these classes. The third key difference is voice. So if you haven't noticed, especially in the military, you're big on uniforms. I mean, you're dressing the same, you're often talking the same, and sometimes that comes out in your writing. That comes out in your writing, and so that causes some issues because it raises some concerns for academic integrity issues. So we want you to be aware of that. Your instructor will be looking for your independent understanding of these concepts. And so we're looking for you to paraphrase different ideas from a variety of different readings and background sources. We're looking for you to summarize some of these ideas in your own words. So quotations are great, but your instructor will care more about your understanding of these concepts. And that is different than stripping out a quotation and sticking it in your paper. It's fundamentally different, and it takes a lot more critical thinking and a lot more time and effort to summarize these different ideas in your own words and put them in. But that is what your instructor is looking for. And if you consider these things, you will reap the benefits of this program upon graduation, and I promise you will become a more effective communicator and contributor to your organizations. The next slide is just meant to give you a general overview of academic writing structure. And so this is not an all-inclusive slide. These are just some tips that as an instructor, I see students kind of missing these points. And so as a writer that you may not have as much experience in an academic environment, or maybe you've been out for a while, I hope that this gives you some direction to get the wheels going and build up that momentum early on. And so there are more resources, more in-depth resources like the ones that Michael mentioned within the Writing Center, and our resources drop down. So please make use of that. But here I just want to frame your mind into what we're looking for in terms of structure and content. So there's basically going to be three main parts of your essay: the introduction, the body, and the conclusion. And so your introduction is kind of like any presentation you may give, like a PowerPoint presentation. You always have a first slide that tells your audience what you're going to be talking about and why it's important. And so that's your introduction paragraph. You're just going to be basically presenting an overview of what you're going to be talking about and why it's important. So I want you to think about this, because there's an important statement in your introduction that your instructors look for, and it's called a thesis statement. Essentially, this tells your reader what the purpose is of your essay. And so a great way for you to know what your instructor is looking for is to look at the module learning outcomes. So every module, you have 4 modules. Every module will have learning outcomes on the home page. So every module will have learning outcomes for every assignment on the home page. That is basically what your instructor is looking for, and that is what your instructor will be looking for or measuring your understanding of those concepts. And those are great statements to put into your introduction paragraph, and to help ground you when you're answering these questions. So in addition to the learning outcomes, your assignments will have like 3 or 4 questions that you have to answer. Use those learning outcomes as like the lenses to view those questions. So address the learning outcomes through answering the questions. So consider that with your thesis statement development, and definitely make use of those module learning outcomes, because they give you what your instructor is looking for on each assignment. From there, you got your body paragraphs. And so the best recommendations I could give you when you're first getting going in your writing is to break up those questions into sections and subsections using headers and subheaders. So just like on a PowerPoint presentation, you have headers that tell your reader or tell your audience what this slide is about. Same thing within your essay. Include a header, include subsections within that make it overtly obvious to your instructor that you are addressing this part of the assignment. This is the key term that you're going to be addressing. So not only does it provide some structure for you for your essay, but it also makes it very obvious for your instructor that you are hitting all those points within your assignment. And so again, going back to the content of your assignment, is your instructor looking for the conclusion? Yeah, sure, we're looking for your answer to the question, but again, we're looking for the reasons why. And so when you draft your paragraphs, I kind of want you to think about aiming for about 4 to 7 sentences. Trust me, nobody's going to be counting your sentences out, but I think it's a good guideline for you, because if you're going below that 4-sentence mark, then you're probably being a little bit too brief or concise, and you're not exploring the topics or discussing the topics in detail. So make sure you're going back and citing some evidence, from your background readings. Again, we're looking for APA citations and some evidence, some objective research and evidence to support your conclusions. And if you're going above that 7-sentence mark, then you're probably rambling on too much, or you could make that into a more concise structure to better highlight your ideas, or you just need to break up that longer paragraph into some more paragraphs, into maybe 2 or 3 paragraphs. But you don't want to go on and on a page and a half of text, of block text. You really want to break that up into small sections and subsections, include those headers, and make it really easy for your instructor to pick out those main points. If you're struggling, again, I talked about the thesis statements above, but if you're struggling in terms of how to start a paragraph and what your instructor is looking for, I always mention these points right here. Define the key term, explain the application of the key term to the assignment, and then discuss why the concept is important to either the module learning outcome or just the class in general, specifically and with specific focus to the module learning outcome. So those 3 points, I think if you cover those, that should get you to that 4 to 7 mark. Include some evidence in there to support your ideas, and that's a great way of just getting started. This is not going to be the perfect way. I can promise you that your instructor will give you feedback, but it's really important for you to take that feedback and then just continue to build upon it. Your instructor is not looking for perfection. In fact, you shouldn't expect that of your instructor. We're here to make you better communicators and better critical thinkers. That's our value. That's our objective. And so when you explore these concepts in a variety of different ways by defining and explaining and discussing the value of these concepts, you're in essence exploring these concepts from a variety of different ways, and you're thinking about them in different ways. So consider that when you're drafting up your assignments. And then the conclusion paragraph is the last part of your assignment, and it really just reflects, it's just kind of like a reflection of your introduction. Your introduction is telling your audience what you're going to be talking about, why it's important, and your conclusion is going to be basically stating what you already have talked about and why that's important. And so they're mirror images of each other. Again, this is not an all-inclusive, these are not all-inclusive suggestions. It's just simply to get the wheels going, and over time you're going to receive more detailed feedback from your instructor to become a better written communicator, a better writer. And so I just highly suggest that you accept that feedback, and with willing and open arms. So I hope that helps. Again, refer back to the resources under the writing resources under the resources tab if you need some more in-depth advice. Always reach out to your instructor, because we love hearing from you and we love to support you in this process. Honestly, it is our honor to serve you. So please make use of us. And with that, I am going to transition back to Daniel Sloan to talk about some career and networking.
Thank you, Dr. Delhiero. As mentioned, we also have resources to help students outside the classroom. First, I want to talk about Alumni Fire, which is for all students, not just Trident alumni. So if this is your first day of the first Trident program you're taking, go sign up. It's a great place where you can connect with other students, Trident alumni, faculty, and staff to get advice on your education, career, and more. It's a really great place to build a strong network during your time at Trident and your time after you've been at Trident. Reach out to alumni at trident.edu for more, and talk to Kendra Temple, who's our Director of Alumni Services. And next, briefly, I want to mention Careerbeam. It's a great place for career skills development, including resume reviews and interview practice. Reach out to Trident for Careers at trident.edu for more information, and our Career Services Manager, James Shive, will be happy to help you. And now we're going to shift to our Q&A session.
Everyone. Hello, Danny, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Having some technical issues, but we'll be up and running in a second.
Great.
So, and we have Michael and Chantel on the phone.
Hello.
Hello.
Chantel, thanks for joining us this session, Chantel. Chantel is one of Trident's admissions advisors, and she also happens to be a Trident alumnus. And which program did you graduate from?
I'm a bachelor's in business administration.
Awesome. Awesome.
So
Great.
I just completed
Great.
that program in July, actually.
Awesome. Well, great. Great to have you here.
Thank
This
you.
session. And while we're waiting for Michael, why don't we get started with the questions? We've had a few come in already. And first question is for you, Chantel. And question is, do students have to do the discussions, aka threaded discussions, before the other assignments?
Okay. So it's not really a requirement, but I do recommend it just from being a previous student, because the discussion question will have two parts. You will have to go in and respond to your teacher. Then you'll have to go back in either the next day or the day after and respond to your classmates. So I always tell students to try to do your discussion question first. Then you'll have enough time to focus on your case and your SLP assignments. So I do recommend doing the discussion question first, but it's not a requirement.
Yeah, that's such a great point, Chantel. Just to piggyback off of that, really crucial to anytime you start like a new module or a new class or a new school is building momentum. So there's a reason why we suggest the threaded discussion, because typically it requires less research and less writing in general. So it's easy for you to build momentum quickly and carry that through your assignment. So whenever you start a new module, whenever you start a new class, think about momentum, building momentum, keeping momentum. And if you get derailed, think about momentum, how you can start taking those baby steps to build up your speed again.
All right.
And I just want to say that's just one of the beautiful things about our program is flexibility. We talked about flexibility. You're going to see it everywhere, and the fact that you have that flexibility, that autonomy to work on certain assignments when you can and submit them by the module deadlines. All those things keep you on track, but you're going to find that what works for you may not work for others, and what works for me may not work for you. So really leverage that flexibility in a way that works best for you so that you can continue to build up that momentum and work efficiently through your assignments.
Yeah, good point, Dr. Delhiero. I think I recall a first day of class a while back where I think the three of us compared our tactics when it came to completing coursework at Trident, and it was three very different ways, but they were what was successful for all of us. And by the way, in the audience, I moved ahead a slide. We're still doing the Q&A, but Chantel is without webcam, so just wanted to make sure everyone saw who they were speaking to. So I have that up now. And then next question, I'm going to send this one your way, Dr. Delhiero. Are students able to turn in assignments early?
Yes, you are. So again, another area where you have flexibility. So you have the opportunity to submit your assignments early. The deadlines are the due dates for all assignments. So again, if you want to submit early, you can. And I would strongly recommend you do so. If you're working ahead on modules, just communicate with your instructor and make sure that you're incorporating the feedback from previous sessions and previous assignments into your current assignment. So sometimes students can get way far ahead and not incorporate the feedback, and then they're losing out on these valuable points by making the same mistakes. And on the other hand, can you submit late? Yes, you can. Again, the system isn't going to lock you out by submitting assignments, so do your best to follow those due dates. There is a timeliness requirement for everything, so you get rewarded for submitting on time with the discussions and with the assignments. So consider that. And then if you are falling behind, or if life gets in the way and you're not able to meet those deadlines, please reach out to your professor first and foremost, and then your student success advisor. But you've got to include your professor somewhere in there, because that person can then be flexible with you and work with you to at least not penalize you for submitting late. So please work with your instructor. They want to be supportive for you, but again, also include your student success advisor. What you'll find is that we operate with a web of support. So we know your student success advisors, your admissions advisors very closely, and so we depend on each other, and we're constantly copying each other on emails, making sure we're all on the same page with getting you to the finish line.
Yeah, that's a great point, and that's one of the reasons why you have representatives from Center for Student Success, faculty, admissions, and marketing here. It's very much a web, and we're an unsiloed environment. We work together. It's definitely, I think, the first time I heard it that way, but it's perfect, a web of support. So Michael, next question for you, can you briefly go over how to retrieve a reference using the Trident library when given or when that resource is needed for an assignment?
So I think that the easiest way to do this, so you can access your library inside of your classroom. You won't even need to leave the class to go back to the portal. You can access it on the portal, but the easiest way to do it is inside of the class. You can find a link under resources inside of the class, and one of those it's a drop-down menu. One of those options is going to be the online library. What I find is the easiest thing to do is typically in your assignments, there are assignment expectations where it will outline exactly what to do in terms of if it's a page length requirement, where to go in terms of a textbook to reference a material. Usually whenever I help students with the library, the biggest thing you can do is literally copy and paste the textbook, because the entire citation will usually be in that assignment expectation. And then from inside of the classroom, from the assignment expectation, you can go up to the resources tab, drop down to the library. That will open a new web page, which will be the Trident online library. And it's basically a Google search. It's a search engine. So you can paste that textbook right inside of the that search engine, and that material will pop right up. That's the easiest way to do it whenever I walk students through that as a success advisor. I don't know if George has anything to add, or Chantel does.
Yeah, I think just to piggyback off of that, either the textbook or sometimes you're referred to an article. So the article title would be what you would copy and paste in there, and it should just, when you press enter, it should pop up to the front of the list, to the top of the list. But yeah.
Great. Thank you both of you. And then let's see if we get Chantel back here. Chantel, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, just I think there's some issues with connection, so it lost you for a second. But question for you: what's a recommended course load for a bachelor student per session?
Well, first starting off, of course, we do start you guys off with one class, which I think that should be for every student. But after you get the hang of it, picking up 2 classes, I do feel like is recommended. That's not more of a course load. as a student, I was taking 2 to 3 classes every 8 weeks once I actually got the hang of it, just to get to my goals a little bit quicker. So I do feel like once you get the hang of it and you're feeling comfortable in your classes, that you can start picking up 2 to 3 classes every 8 weeks in order to get to your goals a little bit quicker.
Yeah, just to add to that, again, yep, you have that flexibility. So work with your student success advisor on that plan. But also, you should definitely consider how this may affect you with your financial aid or your tuition assistance or your veterans benefits. So reach out to your finance advisor as well to if you're going to add or drop classes, just to make sure that it isn't gonna that there aren't any surprises.
And then just a quick one, someone in the audience, their phone is unmuted. So could you please mute your phone? There's some background noise going on. Thank you. And then Michael, going to move to you because perfect question for you about Tux 101. And question is, I do not see when my assignments are due. How exactly can I find the due dates for each of my assignments?
Okay, good question. The easiest place to find this is a little tricky. So if you log into the portal before you actually get into the class, right below where it says, I think it says click here for course listings or my course listings is what you physically click on to get into the class. Right below there should be listed in parentheses another hyperlink that says assignment due dates. Click there and it will be the assignment due dates, and it's broken down by session, not by class. So everyone is starting in the September 21st session. So you want to click there and you'll be able to see everything outlined for the September 21st session. As a rule of thumb, your modules are 2 weeks long. So your modules are ending what it will be not this Sunday, the following Sunday. So that is when your first case will be due, your first SLP will be due, but you want to have your first discussion done a little bit early, kind of what we talked about. It helps build that momentum. And a lot of times your professors, I run into this as a success advisor, if you do your discussion on the last day of the module, you're not able to incorporate any feedback because it's the last day of the module. So they don't, when you're trying to write back to your peers, you're not able to really incorporate any sort of feedback because it is that last day of the module for the discussion. So it's usually a little bit, it's just a better rule of thumb, I think, to do it ahead of time. So like kind of what we spoke about earlier. But yes, if you go onto the landing page of the portal under your class where you click on the class, right below that should be a hyperlink that says assignment due dates. That's the easiest place to find it.
Great. Thank you. And Chantel, do you know exactly what time on Sundays are assignments due?
It's due before 11:59 p.m. and that's Mountain Standard Time.
Or is that Pacific time?
Pacific.
Okay, okay. So I thought. So
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah, that's right. Chantel, you're in Arizona, so sometimes your time zone sometimes just does what it wants.
It changes, huh?
Yeah. So Dr. Delhiero, are there tools available for students to make sure their citations are cited correctly?
Oh man, Michael could probably have some more of this, but I normally just refer students to Purdue OWL or to our writing resources lab. There are some very standard just templates or instructions that you can use to help with your citing. Purdue OWL, the University of Purdue University just has, they're just one of the best at APA format. So I normally just refer students out to that. And I know there are some Microsoft tools that help out with that too, but those are my tools that I refer out to students. Michael, Chantel, do you have any experience with any other tools in that area?
Yes,
typically point.
oh,
Oh,
sorry.
go ahead,
Go
Chantel.
ahead. Oh, yes, I know citation generators. I most definitely use in my class a lot, and it helps me out a lot of different times. Also in Microsoft Word, when writing papers, it's like a reference tab that you can use, and if you click on APA, it'll like formulate your reference for you. So I've used that a lot as well.
Great.
And I usually point students in the direction of Purdue University. I've walked many students to that website and showed them around so they can find, if it's an online resource, this is what it should look like. If it's a textbook, this is what it should look like. That kind of stuff. So I think Purdue is the best.
Great, thank you. And for those of you in the audience, if you look in the chat box on the control panel right now, go all the way down to the bottom of the control panel. We posted a link for the Purdue OWL site in there. And if you need help navigating it all, I think Michael, Dr. Delhiero, Chantel, all would be great resources for you on that. And I think we have one more question. Actually, I have two more. I'm going to send this one to Chantel. Question is, so if assignments are due at 11:59 Pacific time, is that the same for Central Standard Time? AK, is it 11:59 11:59 Central Time?
It's going to be going off of Pacific time, so it's not going to be going off of Central Time.
So okay,
they'll want to make sure that they know what time it is Pacific time before, turning in their assignments.
Yeah, so that would make like 1 o'clock or 1:59 Central Time, AM.
Yeah. So, and those of you on the East Coast, it would be 2:59 AM. So I guess Monday morning. So I guess you have a little bit of an advantage there.
I usually tell my East Coast students that you get into the class a little bit later because usually you're sleeping when the classroom opens, but you get that little extra time to submit the assignments because you get until like 3 a.m. essentially to do your work. So kind of a trade-off.
Thanks. And then I think actually I think that's all the questions we have. So if there's any other questions out there, feel free to submit them because we do check everything that comes in. And if there's any outstanding questions, we'll make sure they're addressed for you. I want to thank everyone for attending today and really want to wish everyone good luck in their first session. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Dr. Delhiero, for your presentations. And I'm going to hand things off to Chantel Williams right now, she's going to close things out with a student success story for everyone. So, Chantel, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you so much. So first, I want to congratulate you guys and say happy start date. I know, some of you may be nervous and don't know, what to expect, but just to let you guys know that we are here for you guys. Please do not hesitate to call us. That's what we're here for. So I would like to share a success story with you guys. Hopefully this will take away some type of nervousness. So one of my previous students, she enrolled into medical billing and coding. This was huge for her, just like it may be for the rest of you guys as well, but she was extremely nervous. She denied her ability to do a lot of different things. She feared school because of her age, which I seem to hear that a lot. I'm too old to be into school. I'm not going to be able to catch on, but it's like you're not giving yourself a chance before you even, start school. She wanted this so bad. She wanted to make a change. She had a goal to come out of retirement in order to support her family. She had a son that was in college and a daughter that was in high school, and she wanted to better support them and also show them that if she can do it, then they can do it as well. As we discussed her goals, I remember letting her know, never to let age play a factor in anything that you want to do in life. You're never too old to learn. You're never too old to succeed in some of the things you want to succeed in. Do not let that hinder you from anything in life. Her success would be her children's success and her family's success. And it would, pretty much she will be leading by example. An important part of my job is just being able to be there for students. It's very rewarding to me to help you guys succeed because I was a student as well, and I also had goals of mine. So I just like to share that, with you guys as well. The encouragement I gave her was exactly what she needed to pretty much reach her end goals. She even reached out to me last week to let me know that she was in her last class and she was getting ready to take her final exam in order to get certified. And she was so thankful that we gave her a helping hand and we was with her until she pretty much got to the end. So we even discussed her wanting to get her bachelor's degree. So just pretty much want to let you guys know, don't give up. Don't be afraid to reach out to us. That's what we're here for. And congratulations to all of you guys and happy start date. And, good luck to you guys. And thank you so much, for attending the webinar and good luck to you guys.